We spend almost a third of our lives asleep. But sleep isn't just rest, it's travel. Every night, we leave the waking world and enter another one, a world that forms without our control, yet somehow feels familiar. We walk through cities that don't exist, talk to people we've never met, and relive memories that may not even be ours. And when we wake up, the entire experience dissolves instantly, like mist fading in sunlight. For a long time, dreams were thought to be meaningless brain noise, just the mind reorganizing itself. But if that were true, why would dreams feel emotional? Why would certain dream scenarios appear again and again across completely different people and cultures? The truth is, dreams follow patterns, not in the logic of their stories, but in the emotional shapes beneath them. These shapes are archetypes, and whether we remember our dreams or not, every one of us experiences them. The place that shouldn't exist. One of the most common dream archetypes is the place that feels familiar but isn't real. It might look like your childhood school, or a shopping mall, or a house you swear you've been in before. But when you try to remember how you know it, the memory isn't there. The hallways are too long. The rooms are arranged in ways that don't make sense. And the lighting feels soft and distant, like it's coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. These places are not built from real locations. They're constructed from fragments of memory, blended together into environments that feel almost right, but not quite. And it's that not quite that makes them feel so vivid. Your brain is recreating a sense of familiarity, not accuracy. It's trying to build a world out of emotional memory instead of physical memory. So you end up in empty schools, silent supermarkets, abandoned hotels, endless back rooms, spaces where it feels like something should be happening, but nothing ever does. The person without a face. The space waits for you, and you're the only living thing inside it. This is the architectural blueprint of a dream, a place shaped not by reality, but by the echo of it. There is a figure that appears in many dreams, someone you recognize, but cannot entirely identify. Their presence feels familiar the moment they appear, like a memory you can almost recall. But when you try to focus on their features, their face isn't there. Not blurred, not hidden, just absent, as if your mind left the image unfinished. This happens because the brain does not store people as detailed pictures. It stores the emotional impression of them, the tone of their voice, the shape of their presence, the feeling they leave behind. In dreams, identity is emotional first and visual second. You know who someone is based on how they make you feel, not how they look. So in the dream, you may trust this faceless person, or feel drawn to them, or fear them, or depend on them, even though you couldn't describe a single feature if someone asked. And what makes this archetype unsettling is not the missing face, it's the certainty. You know them. You recognize them instantly, and that recognition reveals a quiet truth. In life, we remember how people affect us far more than we remember their details. The endless chase. One of the most widely reported dream experiences across cultures, ages, and time periods is the feeling of being chased. You find yourself running through streets, hallways, forests, or unfamiliar buildings. You may not always know what's following you, but you feel its presence, close, certain, inevitable. No matter how fast you move, the distance never seems to change. This dream is not really about the chase itself. It's about the emotional weight behind it. The brain uses dreams to process unresolved stress, conflict, or decisions we avoid when we're awake. Instead of talking to us in words, it speaks in symbols. The thing chasing you may not represent a person at all. It may represent a situation, a responsibility, or a fear you haven't faced. What makes this dream so intense is the loss of control. Your legs feel heavy, like you're running through water. The hallways stretch longer the more you run. Your environment bends itself to ensure escape is impossible. This is your mind amplifying the emotion that needs attention. It turns the fear into something you can't ignore. The chase ends, not when you wake up, but when the emotion behind it has been acknowledged. In other words, the dream isn't showing you what you're running from. It's showing you what you're running out of time to avoid. The wrong childhood home. Many people dream of their childhood home, but something about it is different. The rooms are rearranged. The hallway is longer than it should be. A staircase leads to a place that never existed. The house feels familiar, yet slightly distorted, like a memory being reconstructed from incomplete pieces. This happens because childhood homes represent the earliest emotional blueprint of safety, belonging, and identity. They are the first spaces where we learned who we were and how the world worked, so the brain returns to them when it needs to revisit something foundational. But the dream version is almost never accurate. That's because the brain isn't replaying the past, it's rebuilding it. It's using emotional memory instead of precise detail. If there is something unresolved from your past, the house changes to reflect it. A locked door may represent something you are not ready to examine. A new hallway may lead to a memory you forgot existed. A dark room may represent a part of yourself you haven't acknowledged yet. Dream researchers often describe this archetype as a psychological mirror. You're not just walking through a building, you're walking through the structure of your own internal history. The house doesn't show what happened, it shows how it felt. And the longer you look, the more you realize that the dream is not about going back to where you lived. It's about returning to who you were. The ocean that knows your name. Water appears in dreams more often than almost any other symbol, but there is a specific kind of dream that people describe again and again. Standing before an endless ocean. Sometimes it is calm and still. Sometimes it is black and storming. Sometimes it stretches so far that the horizon disappears completely. But no matter what form it takes, the ocean in a dream always feels alive, as if it is aware of you. This is because deep water represents something primal. Throughout human evolution, the ocean has been both a giver of life and an unknowable threat. It is vast, ancient, and indifferent. In dreams, it becomes a symbol of everything inside us that feels too big to fully understand. Our subconscious, our memories, our fears, our instincts. When you dream of an ocean, you are standing at the edge of your own internal depth. If the water is calm, it may reflect acceptance or emotional clarity. If it is dark or violent, it often means there is something in your inner world that feels overwhelming or out of control. And if you feel as though the water is watching you, that is the mind recognizing its own vastness. A moment where you become aware that there are parts of yourself you have never fully met. This is not just a scene, it is a confrontation. A reminder that the deepest parts of who we are remain largely uncharted. And sometimes, the ocean dreams are not asking you to dive in, only to acknowledge how deep the waters go. These archetypes don't explain every dream, of course, and they don't fully reveal why we dream in the first place. They simply show us that there is structure in the chaos, patterns beneath the noise. But even with everything we've learned, the world of dreams is still mostly uncharted. There are experiences we can't measure, feelings we can't translate, and meanings we may never fully understand. Maybe one day we'll know more. Or maybe dreams are meant to remain just out of reach, close enough to feel, but too deep to grasp. Either way, they continue every night, whether we notice them or not. Thanks for watching.